Kemi didn't know that wearing the anonymous Valentine's gift, a $2 million dragon's breath ruby, was an invitation to a kidnapping. At the exclusive Alash Beach Valentine's Gala, the air was thick with the scent of salt water and expensive perfume. Suddenly, the music died. From the Atlantic waves, a black barge emerged, carrying a gilded cage. Inside wasn't a beast, but a man, Jun-soo. The shy Korean boy she once shielded from bullies at their Ikoi elite school was gone. In his place stood a ruthless mafia king with cold eyes and a billionaire swagger. He didn't come back to Lagos for a reunion. He came to claim the only woman who ever saw his soul, and he's starting his revenge arc by dismantling the elite families who once made him bleed. The humidity of Lagos clung to Kemi's skin like a second silk dress. Standing in her Banana Island walk-in closet, she stared at the velvet box. No card, just a blood-red ruby that pulsed like a heartbeat. "Kemi, if you don't put that on, I'm stealing it," her friend Tola joked, adjusting her own designer heels. Kemi fastened the clasp. The gold felt cold, heavy. It felt like a chain. As she looked in the mirror, a memory flashed. 2005. A dusty playground in Ikoi. A group of boys circling a small, silent Korean boy. Kemi had stepped in, teeth bared, shouting them down. "Who sent this?" Kemi whispered. "Who cares?" Tola laughed. "It's Valentine's Day in the city of billionaires. Maybe you have a secret mafia admirer." Kemi didn't laugh. She felt watched. The Alash Beach party was the peak of Lagos high society. The sons of oil moguls and daughters of senators danced on the sand. But the vibe shifted when 6 speedboats, matte black and silent, cut through the surf. They didn't dock, they circled. From a larger barge in the center, a crane lowered a massive gold-plated cage onto the shore. The party went silent. The door of the cage hissed open. Out stepped a man in a charcoal-gray Tom Ford suit, his presence suffocating the night air. He scanned the crowd, dismissing the powerful men of Lagos as if they were insects. Then his gaze locked onto Kemi's neck, specifically the ruby. "The color suits you, Kemi," he said. His voice was a deep, melodic rasp, a Korean-Nigerian accent that sent a jolt of electricity through her. "Jun-soo," Kemi's voice trembled. The crowd gasped. This was the legendary Ghost of Seoul, the head of the Xinguang syndicate. People whispered he had executed his own uncle to take the throne. He walked toward her, the sand barely shifting under his designer loafers. 2 steps away, he stopped. He was a head taller than her now, his shoulders broad, his face a mask of ruthless dominance. "You remembered my name," he murmured, reaching out. His gloved fingers brushed the ruby at her throat, his touch possessive. "Most people here only know me as the man who is about to buy their father's companies and burn them to the ground." "You disappeared," she choked out. 7 months after the bullying started, you were just gone." "I was sent to a war zone to become a soldier," he said coldly, "so I could return to you as a king." The tension between them was a physical weight. Jun-soo leaned in, his lips inches from hers, the scent of expensive tobacco and rain enveloping her. "Tonight isn't just about Valentine's, Kemi. It's about reclaiming what is mine." He turned to the crowd, his eyes landing on Segun, the lead bully from their childhood, now a cocky investment banker. "Segun, kneel." "What? Man, you're crazy," Segun started, but he didn't finish. 2 of Jun-soo's silent guards were behind him in a heartbeat, forcing him into the sand. Jun-soo looked at Kemi, his hands sliding to the small of her back, pulling her flush against his hard frame. "He made you cry once, didn't he? When he pushed me and you fell. I've thought about his throat every night for 15 years. Kemi felt a terrifying thrill. This was Mafia obsession in its purest form. "Stop it, Jun-soo," Kemi whispered, though she didn't pull away. He looked down at her, his thumb tracing her lower lip. "I'll stop when Lagos knows who you belong to." He signaled to his men. Without another word, he swept Kemi off her feet. The crowd watched in stunned silence as the Mafia king carried the lawyer toward the waiting speedboats. "You're kidnapping me?" she asked, her heart racing with a mix of fear and an undeniable dark attraction. "I'm rescuing you," he corrected, his voice dropping to a growl as he stepped onto the boat. "From a life that is too small for you. Welcome to my world, Kemi. Try not to break anything, except my heart. Again." As the boat sped away toward his private estate in Ep, Kemi realized the shy boy was dead. The man who replaced him was a predator, and she was the only prey he ever wanted. As the speedboats cut through the dark Atlantic waters, the lights of the Alash shoreline faded into a shimmering blur. Kemi felt the vibration of the engine beneath her heels, but it was nothing compared to the frantic drumming in her chest. The boat docked at a private jetty in Ep, leading to a sprawling estate of glass and black marble that looked like a futuristic fortress. "Is this your embassy now?" Kemi asked, her voice trembling as Junsu led her through the massive steel doors. "The embassy was a cage," Junsu said, not looking back. "This is a throne." Inside, the walls were lined with monitors displaying stock markets, shipping routes, and, Kemi froze, security footage of her own penthouse. He hadn't just sent a gift, he had been watching her life like a silent predator. "You've been stalking me," she turned, her legal mind finally snapping into gear. "This is a felony, Junsu. I don't care how much Mafia dominance you think you have in Lagos." He stepped into her personal space, his shadow swallowing her. "I wasn't stalking you, Kemi. I was protecting my investment." Junsu walked to a mahogany desk and tossed a weathered, ink-stained document onto the surface. "Read it," he commanded. Kemi picked up the paper. It was a contract dated 15 years ago, signed by her father, one of the most respected judges in Nigeria. It wasn't a legal brief. It was a blood debt. Her father had borrowed heavily from a Korean shipping conglomerate, Junsu's family, to cover a massive gambling loss that would have ruined his reputation. "The collateral wasn't money," Junsu whispered, his breath hot against her neck. "It was the union of our houses. Your father sold your hand to my father to save his own skin." Kemi felt the world tilt. Her entire life of freedom, her law degree, her independence, it was all built on a lie. She was collateral. "My father is dead," Junsu continued, his fingers trailing down her arm, leaving a trail of fire. "The debt passed to me. I could have come for you years ago, Kemi. I could have dragged you to Seoul when you were 20. "Why didn't you?" she choked out. "Because I wanted you to become the woman you are, strong, sharp, the kind of woman who can stand beside a king, not just serve him." He turned her around to face him. The coldness in his eyes flickered, replaced by a dark, obsessive hunger. "But my patience has run out. The enemies I made on my way to the top are coming for everything I love. And whether you like it or not, you are the only thing I have ever loved." Before she could protest, he crushed his lips against hers. It wasn't a gentle reunion, it was a hostile takeover. The kiss tasted of salt and ancient promises. Kemi tried to push him away, but her hands betrayed her, gripping the lapels of his $10,000 suit. The shy boy she protected was gone, replaced by a man who knew exactly how to make her body betray her mind. He lifted her onto the mahogany desk, scattering the papers of her father's debt. "You're a monster," she gasped between kisses. "I am whatever you need me to be," he growled, his hands sliding up her thighs, bunching the silk of her dress. "Your protector, your husband, your ruin." The power dynamic shifted in the dim light of the office. Kemi realized she wasn't just afraid of him. She was afraid of how much she wanted the safety his darkness provided. In a city like Lagos, where everyone wanted a piece of her, Junsu was the only one who wanted all of her. The moment was shattered by the sharp crack of gunfire echoing from the perimeter of the estate. Junsu was off the desk in a blurred second, pulling a suppressed pistol from a hidden holster under the desk. His face transformed, the lover vanished, and the ruthless mafia boss returned. "Stay down," he barked. "Who is that?" Kemi huddled behind the desk, the reality of his world crashing down. "The people who think I've gone soft because I came back for a girl," Junsu said, his eyes scanning the security monitors. One screen showed Segun, the bully from the beach, leading a group of armed men through the garden. Junsu looked at Kemi, a chilling, beautiful smile on his face. "Watch closely, Kemi. You wanted to know what happened to the shy boy. He learned how to eliminate the trash." The glass walls of the Ep fortress were bulletproof, but the sound of lead meeting reinforced polymer was a rhythmic, terrifying thud. Kemi watched, paralyzed, as Junsu adjusted his cufflinks. He didn't look like a man under siege. He looked like a bored predator waiting for his food to stop twitching. "Segun was always a fool," Junsu murmured, checking the feed. "In Ikoi, he thought he was a lion because his father was a senator. In my world, a senator is just a line item on a ledger." He pressed a button on his desk. Outside, hidden floor-to-ceiling floodlights ignited, bathing the garden in a blinding, artificial white. The intruders, led by a sweating, panicked Segun, were caught like deer in headlights. "Stay behind the mahogany, Kemi," Junsu commanded, his voice dropping to a lethal octave. "Don't blink, you need to see who I am." Junsu stepped out onto the balcony overlooking the marble terrace. He didn't take cover. He stood there, silhouetted against the Lagos night, a billionaire mafia king in a $10,000 suit holding a suppressed HK VP9. Vud vud. Two of Segun's hired guns dropped before they could even raise their rifles. No wasted motion, no emotion. It was clinical. Segun screamed, tripping over his own feet as he tried to retreat toward the bushes. "Junsu, wait, this was a mistake. I just wanted the girl back. Her father owes my family." "Her father doesn't owe you anything," Junsu's voice boomed over the estate's PA system, cold and echoing. "He owes me, and I don't share my assets." Junsu signaled his men to cease fire. Within seconds, his shadow guards had Segun pinned to the edge of the infinity pool, his face pressed against the cold stone. Junsu walked back into the office and grabbed Kemi's hand. His grip was firm, possessive. He led her out onto the terrace. The air smelled of ozone and expensive gunpowder. "Kemi, look at him," Junsu said, forcing her to stand at the edge. Kemi looked down at Segun, the man who had spent years bullying the embassy boy, the man who represented the arrogant elite of Lagos. He was sobbing now, snot mixing with the chlorine water. "He wants to sell you to a cartel in Cotonou to settle your father's gambling debt," Junsu whispered into her hair. "Tell me, Kemi, does the shy boy still need to show mercy?" Kemi's heart hammered against her ribs. This was the revenge arc she never asked for. She looked at Segun, then at the man holding her, the boy she once gave her lunch to, the boy she fought for. "Is this what you've become?" Kemi asked, her voice cracking. "A judge and an executioner." "I became what was necessary to survive the world you left me in," Junsu replied. He handed her the pistol, the weight of it heavy and cold in her palm. "One shot, Kemi. End the threat to your life. Or I do it my way." The mafia obsession in his eyes was terrifying. He didn't just want her love. He wanted her to bleed with him. He wanted to corrupt the only pure thing he remembered. "I won't be like you," Kemi said, dropping the gun. It clattered on the marble. Junsu's expression didn't change. He simply sighed, a sound of dark disappointment. He looked at his lead guard and gave a short, sharp nod. "Take him to the cellar," Junsu ordered. "He will live, but he will never walk through Ikoi again." As they dragged a screaming Segun away, Junsu turned to Kemi, pulling her back into his arms with a force that knocked the breath from her. The adrenaline of the fight turned into a burning, toxic chemistry. "You're a lawyer, Kemi. You believe in the light, but tonight the light failed you. My shadows saved you." He lifted her chin, his dark eyes searching hers. "The contract is signed. The beach party was the beginning. From this moment on, you are the queen of the Xinguang Syndicate, and Lagos is our playground." He kissed her then, a kiss of ownership and dark promise, as the first hints of dawn touched the Lagos lagoon. The sun rose over the Ep lagoon, but for Kemi, the light only made the bars of her new life clearer. Junsu hadn't just brought her to a home, he had brought her to a command center. Kemi woke up in a bed draped in charcoal silk. The room was vast, with floor-to-ceiling glass overlooking the private jetty. On the nightstand sat a fresh cup of Blue Mountain coffee and a new phone. She checked her old one. No service. She stepped out onto the balcony, finding Junsu already there. He was shirtless, his back a map of scars, knife wounds, jagged stitch marks, and a large, intricate tattoo of a Korean tiger fighting a Nigerian mamba. It was a history of violence etched in skin. "Your father called," Junsu said, not turning around. "He thanked me for taking care of the Segun situation. He thanked you for kidnapping his daughter." Kemi's voice was sharp with betrayal. Junsu turned, his eyes cold and clinical. "He thanked me for keeping his secret. If Segun had talked, your father would be in a Kirikiri cell by noon. I didn't just save you, Kemi. I bought your family's legacy." "What else is he hiding?" Kemi demanded, stepping closer, her silk robe billowing in the sea breeze. Junsu reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, encrypted USB drive. "Your father wasn't just gambling with money, Kemi. He was trading judicial favors for the very cartels I'm trying to dismantle in West Africa. He's the reason the shy boy had to disappear 20 years ago." Kemi felt the air leave her lungs. "My father, he sent you away. He told my family I was a distraction to his rising career. He suggested my father move me back to Seoul before accidents happened. He bullied me through a system, Kemi. The kids in the playground were just his foot soldiers." The betrayal was a physical weight. The man she had looked up to her whole life was the villain in Junsu's origin story. Junsu walked toward her, his presence closing the distance until she was backed against the glass railing. He placed his hands on either side of her, trapping her. "I spent 20 years hatting him," he whispered, his voice vibrating in her chest. "But I spent every one of those years obsessed with you. Every time I had to kill, I thought of your smile. Every time I bled, I remembered you wiping the dirt off my face." He leaned down, his nose brushing hers. "You are my only tether to the boy I used to be. Do you understand? I cannot let you go, not to your father, not to Lagos, not to anyone." He kissed her then, a desperate, obsessive claim. It wasn't about love anymore. It was about survival. Kemi felt the raw power of his Mafia dominance, a dark magnetic pull that made her want to surrender even as her mind screamed to run. By noon, the news had hit the Ikoyi social circles. The Segun family's assets were being frozen. 3 major shipping firms had been bought out by an anonymous Korean conglomerate. Junsu sat in his office, Kemi forced to sit in the chair opposite him as he conducted business. He spoke Korean into one phone and perfect, cold English into another. "Tell the minister that the port belongs to Xinguang now," he snapped. "If he wants his cut, he can collect it and lead." Kemi watched him, the ruthless Mafia king in action. He was dismantling the power structures of her world with the flick of a finger. "You're destroying people's lives," she said quietly. "I'm pruning the garden, Kemi," he replied, looking up with a predatory smirk. "I'm making it safe for us." The peaceful takeover was interrupted by a notification on the main screen. A video feed from the front gate showed a black SUV idling. A man stepped out, Kemi's father, Judge Ademola. He looked aged, terrified, and desperate. He wasn't there as a powerful judge. He was there as a man begging for his life. "Let him in," Junsu commanded. He looked at Kemi, his expression unreadable. "This is the moment of truth, Kemi. He's here to offer me a deal. He wants to trade your permanent silence for his freedom." "He wouldn't," Kemi whispered, her heart breaking. He already did, Junsu said, sliding a drawer open to reveal a pair of gold-plated handcuffs. The question is, whose side are you on? The father who sold you or the monster who bought you? The emotional suspense was a suffocating shroud as the heavy doors of the estate groaned open. The air in the glass fortress turned ice-cold as Judge Ademola walked into the room. This was the man who had taught Kemi the law, the man who now stood as a broken pawn in a Mafia king's game. Judge Ademola didn't look at Kemi. He looked at Junsu with the eyes of a man staring at his executioner.
I
"I
did
did
what
what
I
I
have
had
to
to do
do for my family.
the judge stammered, his voice echoing in the marble hall. Junsu, take the girl, keep her. Just give me the files. If those judicial favors go public, I'm a dead man." Kemi felt a coldness settle in her bones that no Lagos sun could warm. Her own father was bartering her like a piece of Ikoyi real estate. Junsu leaned back in his obsidian chair, his hand resting on Kemi's waist, pulling her closer in a terrifying show of possession. "You sold her once for a gambling debt, and now you sell her again for your reputation. You are a small man, Judge, and I hate small men." Junsu stood up, the sheer weight of his ruthless dominance filling the room. He didn't reach for a gun. He reached for the USB drive. "Kemi," he said, his voice dropping to a whisper, "the law says he should go to prison. My world says he should go to the bottom of the lagoon. What does the girl who protected me say?" The room went silent. The emotional suspense was a physical cord stretched to its breaking point. Kemi looked at her father, then at the ghost of Soul. "Give him the files," Kemi said, her voice steady. "Let him go. But tell him if he ever steps foot in Ikoyi again, if he ever speaks my name, I will be the one to prosecute him. Not as a daughter, but as a Xingguang." Junsu's lips curled into a dark, proud smile. He tossed the drive at the judge's feet. "Run, before I change my mind." As the judge fled, the perimeter alarms shrieked again. This wasn't a small-time bully like Segun. The Korean syndicate elders, Junsu's own blood, had sent a cleanup crew from Seoul. They didn't approve of their king wasting resources on a childhood obsession in Nigeria. "They're here for me," Junsu said, his eyes flashing with a lethal hunger. "They think a king shouldn't have a heart. They think you are a weakness." "Are you going to let them take me?" Kemi asked, her hand finding the cold grip of the pistol he had left on the desk. "I'm going to show them why I'm the king," he growled. He pulled a heavy assault rifle from a hidden wall compartment. "Stay behind me. If anyone touches you, I'll burn the continent." The battle for the Ep estate was short, brutal, and calculated. Junsu moved with the grace of a dancer and the precision of a machine. He fought not just for his throne, but for the childhood loyalty that had kept him alive in the dark. In the middle of the chaos, a mercenary lunged for Kemi. She didn't scream. She didn't hide. She pulled the trigger, the recoil vibrating through her arm. Junsu appeared at her side, his suit stained with crimson, his eyes wide with a new kind of respect. He grabbed her, shielding her body with his as the last of the intruders fell. "You're mine," he panted, his forehead resting against hers. "In this life and the next. No more cages, Kemi, no more hiding." 1 month later. Ikoyi was quiet, but it was the silence of a city under new management. Kemi stood on the balcony of the most expensive penthouse in Lagos, not as a captive, but as a Mafia queen. Junsu walked up behind her, draping a coat over her shoulders. He was no longer the shy boy or the ghost of Seoul. He was the man who had bridged two worlds for one woman. "The elders are handled. Your father is in exile. Lagos is ours," he whispered, kissing the scar on her shoulder from the night of the attack. Kemi looked out at the city lights. She had traded the courtroom for the boardroom of an underworld empire. The transformation was complete. The Bullied boy had returned as a king, and he had kept his promise. He didn't come back for revenge. He came back to make sure she never had to fight alone again. "What's next, my king?" she asked, a dangerous spark in her eyes. Junsu turned her around, his gaze burning with eternal obsession. Next, we build a dynasty they'll never forget. What a ride! From the dusty playgrounds of Ikoyi to the high-stakes underworld of a Korean mafia king, Junsu and Kemi's story is just the beginning. If you loved this mix of Lagos luxury and ruthless mafia dominance, I want to hear from you in the comments. Which moment gripped you the most? Was it Junsu's dramatic entrance in the gilded cage at the Valentine's party, or Kemi finally choosing the monster over her own father? What should happen next? Should they take their empire to the streets of Seoul, or face a new rival in the heart of Banana Island? Don't miss the next dark romance. If you're obsessed with powerful transformation arcs, billionaire protectors, and intense reunions, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. We have plenty more stories of obsession, revenge, and redemption coming your way. Drop a comment below with your favorite scene and subscribe to join the inner circle.